Now, what happens when you press the button, and I'm not going to do that here because I don't actually want to submit this release, is it will initially go here into the queue. And since you guys are on the unlimited plan with slots, then it's going to, the more often you do this, the longer your queue is going to get. So you may come in and you may queue up 10 different press releases, and then we'll process them as we work through, your available queue slots, right? So you could end up with very few in here. You could end up with a bunch in here. As soon as we pick up that press release and start working on it, it's going to show up over here in the in progress tab. So it's going to move from your queued orders tab. It's going to move to in progress tab. You can see that this one is showing a status here of in process of distribution. This is an old press release. There's a specific reason for that, which I don't necessarily want to go into right now. If you see something that's stuck in process of distribution for more than a day or two, then that's probably a problem and you should reach out to support and let us know. That typically means that we haven't seen a release come back yet from our, or haven't gotten any kind of reporting back from our upstreams that release got picked up, which may mean that there's a problem with the release itself. So if we look here, you can see the release ID, the description that we gave it earlier, what organization is it for, what type of distribution, is it standard or premium, and then again the status. Most of the time it's going to be in writing or it's going to be in approval. And so, you'll have a little link here on the side if it's waiting for your action. So this is the tab that you're going to want to check to make sure that, we're not waiting for you to approve the content or revise your writing instructions. Let's say those writing instructions you gave, we needed to check with you to make sure that it would work out okay. It's going to, come back here and you're going to see a link here to take action on that. I probably should have tried to add one up in here so that you could see what that looks like. But anyways, once that goes out the door and we have picked, this one actually already went out, but it's a premium only release. Since Yahoo doesn't actually report back to us, we have to manually change the distribution status. And so, what we're going to try and do, when it's done, it's going to move over to the published press releases. You can't edit the order once it's in progress. If it's in queued, obviously we don't have one in queued right now. If it's in queued and we haven't, picked up on it yet, you can make changes to that. And so, that little pencil icon, so obviously in this case it doesn't work, but in the queued orders, it's definitely going to work for you. Once it goes out, then and it's going to move over here to the published press release tab. This is all the different press releases that you've issued for them. We've got a link to that as well. We'll click on that in a minute. It shows the description we gave it, what organization it came from, distribution type, the status. You could download a PDF release report. You can download the release itself as a PDF, and then it gives you the date when it was completed. This live search can be helpful. As we type, it filters down. But let's say I knew I wanted to look for one that was described investment. I just start typing in there, and it filters it down. So that can be a great way to find press releases. Anytime you see a search box like that in our interface, you can do that. And then the little refresh button here does exactly what you would think it does. It just refreshes it. All right. Any questions about that? Should be fairly clear. I guess the other thing that I will add here is that if you wanted, say, to take a standard distribution release and upgrade it to premium, I think you have a 2-week window to do that. And as long as you as long as you do that, you're gonna get a link here that lets you upgrade that release to premium. So you'll have to click that and go through. There's a verification to make sure you really do want to upgrade it, and so that we don't accidentally charge you for something that you didn't really intend to do. Let's see. All right, the questions. Yeah, Mary, there is a lot to learn. Hopefully, going over these recordings when they come out will be great for you. If you get behind, the 8 ball on any of this stuff, don't hesitate to reach out. Our support folks are great. They work really hard to take care of all of you. So definitely reach out to them, and we'll get you unstuck if you get stuck. Justin asks, how do we mention location in the PR? If, for example, we're targeting Elizabethton through Johnson City's map and profile info, you could put that into, into this the subject, keyword, for example. Let's say you wanted to do, Elizabethton, and then a service into that keyword, then it'll be in the title. That's always a great way to do it. Including it in the instructions is also good. And then obviously, if you wanted to, you could use an anchor. That's a case where a branded anchor would be great. You could, I see, let's come up with a service name, right? Well, we'll just use one here. So we'll say, True Grit Roofing Company, or so we'll just call it True Grit in Elizabethton, right? And that's a branded anchor that has a little bit of extra on it that's giving you that geographical relevance as well. So not only are you going to get that in the content proper because you put it in the instructions, but by adding it to the anchor, then you're also going to get a little bit of extra benefit from there. Hope that clarifies. Greg says, don't accidentally hit cancel to cancel a new order. You might cancel a schedule order. Yeah, so the one thing that people, often do, which I really need to change the UI up. This is an old UI interface, and it's on our to-do list to clean this up and change this a little bit. But make sure you press the submit button and not the order new release button, because if we press the order new release button, it opens a brand new form and all the work that you did is gone. It sucks. It's a terrible experience, and I have no good way of fixing it because these buttons are just literally right next to each other. And so, when we do a UI refresh, that will not be the case anymore, because that's just not a great experience for people. All right, so let's look at the releases themselves. So we'll pick up this one here. If we click on that release, it shows us the release name, it shows us the title, it shows us the URLs. These are the same URLs that we looked at before with the organization, just specific to that press release. You can download the PDF here. You can also use an RSS feed, which is just for that single release. So if you wanted to do that, I know there's some people that do that from time to time, not a problem. I don't know that you guys can actually change an organization or hide it. That might work. I don't know, actually. I thought those are admin only, and I'm not in an admin account, so that may or may not work. It's not supposed to. I think hiding it is going to work for you, but change organization shouldn't. And then here on the syndication pickup tab, this is where you get all the list of the different sites that picked it up. And then you can click here, export it as a CSV, it'll download it. You can change how many you want per page. If we wanted to see all of them, it's going to show all of them. This is very, this UI piece is very similar for any of our little table-based UIs. You're always going to have those export capabilities, and you're always going to have that pagination capability as well. So the most important piece of all of this is the URL. This stuff doesn't even get updated, so I really need to just hide it because it hasn't been updated in forever. But yeah, so that's where you get the information about the specific, press releases themselves. Fairly straightforward. Any questions about this? Cool. Okay, so we're at about 45 minutes in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a quick gloss over the scheduled orders, but we're going to cover scheduled orders and how to use them most effectively in the next session. And we're going to go over some of that advanced usage. I may or may not, tie that in with some strategic stuff and get out of just the pure interface as well. It just kind of depends on how that works out. So this is the interface that shows you all of the scheduled orders in your account. You can have a regular scheduled order, or you can have a scheduled stack order. And we've talked about the difference between those in a previous call, but a scheduled order is just a generic, I'm going to send out a press release. It's not going to have any relevance necessarily to the previous press release. It's going to use all the information I gave it, but that's it. A stack order is going to have reference to the previous press release. It's going to link to stuff from the previous press releases, all that sort of thing. And again, we'll go over that in a lot more detail in the next session. But if we look here at the scheduled order interface, it's very similar for each one. We're going to give it a frequency. So, let's say we want to schedule a press release every 12 days. We want it to start right away. We want to, send out 10 press releases before it stops, and we want 2 press releases or 2 links per press release using standard distribution. We're going to, we'll just leave that client. If we're out of credits, we want to just go ahead and bill me for more credits because I definitely want my press releases to go out. We're going to put in a say ALR scheduled, call it land acquisition. So this will go into the description of the press release, that internal field. So, and this is a way for you to know that it came from a scheduled order. We're going to have a primary keyword. Remember, this primary keyword maps back to that primary subject of the press release in that same order form. We can add a bunch of them. So we can fill this out and we can say, well, we want, it's just going to pick one. So, we could say like, buy land fast, or we could say acquire land cheap, or we could say buy vacant land, right? So you kind of get the idea. And then when it issue or orders the press release, it's going to pick one of these, and it's going to take that and use that as part of that order process. Instructions here are very similar, same general concept as before. The one thing that's different is obviously it's not going to be specific to that press release, so it has to be a little bit more generic. So what some people will do is they'll set up a scheduled, let's say you're working with a roofing company and you want to have press releases go out about new roof installs. You want to have it about roof replacement, and you want to have one about roof cleaning, let's say. So you'd have 3 different scheduled orders that go off on different cycles, so that they're not all firing at once. And that first one's going to be focused on new roof. So your keywords are going to be related to that. Your instructions are going to be related to that. Your links and anchor, they're going to be related to that. And then the next one is about, roofing repair. Similar thing. Your primary keywords, your subjects, those are going to be about roof repair. Your instructions are going to be about roof repair. And then your anchors and everything are also going to be about roof repair. So that's how you get around the fact that we're going to use the same instruction every single time. So the real difference comes in the subject, that primary keyword, as well as the anchor text. Same thing as before. You give us some quotes. Generally, for this, you just want us to create quotes because you don't want to use the same quotes over and over again. Use your retargeting pixels, embed your map. Same thing with links. You add a whole bunch of them, right? And then, we're going to pick, in this case, because up here we said 2 links per release. We're going to randomly pick 2 of these and we're going to use it. And if we use the same URL, advantage.com, pressadvantage.com, if I can spell today, com. And we're going to say press release. See, I really can't spell. And then we'll say local business PR. So when it decides what it's going to do, it's going to look and see, okay, I've got 2 here for pressadvantage.com. I only want to use that link, that specific URL one time. And so I'm going to pick one of these and I'm going to use it, and it won't use the other one. You can also link to your organization page, and you can choose to link to a previous press release, in which case you can pick which one. This should probably be on the other side of that. And so that's ways where you can quickly pull some information from the from your organization. This is how you can build some manual stacks if you wanted to. A lot of people will like to link to their organization page in a press release to just power everything up and so on and so forth. But again, it's going to, per URL, it's only going to choose one, and it will only choose a total of however many you gave it up above. In this case, that was 2. Embedded images, again, very similar. Give us some alt text. You can either upload a video or an image. Please don't do that. Give us a URL. And so you can, again, give a bunch of them and we'll choose a random one. Same thing for videos, right? Just give us video URLs to embed. We'll pick a random one and we'll embed it. And then you click save, and then it will start and it will fire off. Any questions about that? Cool. Let's look at the PR stack order form real quick. It's very, very similar, right? The primary difference is you're going to give us a link for the first release because you may want that to link back to something else. Usually this is going to be the home page or the the GMB profile or something like that. And then similarly here, you can link to a specific URL or you can link to the previous release. And then you can either go to the last release in the stack, first release in the stack, or a random release in the stack. So it's kind of up to you on how you design it. We'll go over this piece in specific in the future on kind of more of a slide-based presentation because it's hard to kind of understand how this all ties together here. Just know that this is how how you're going to do it here. So other than that, everything is the same. So I hope that's pretty clear. Awesome. Okay, any questions about that? Cool. So I think we've wrapped up. Actually, we got through that faster than I thought we would. So we did kind of go over the scheduled orders. Once they are, let me show you a couple of other things here. You can see here that this one, for example, has reached its release limit. You could edit it and you can say, I want it to order, 60, and then you can save it. Save the changes, and then it'll automatically go in and do that, right? And so it'll kind of restart it again. There's a way, if you want to, pause, something, you can see you can activate, deactivate, you can delete it. So the similar, type of mechanism for, press release management. Anytime you see the little checkbox, you can often, click it and see what it will let you do. So. Sometimes the stack links don't work. Let me know what you're talking about and support, just email support. Let me know what you're talking about. I'm not sure what you mean there. Mary, the keyword tool is actually gone. We pulled that out. It used to be up here as another tab. Nobody used it. And so, we've removed it. I need to pull that off of our website, but that's been gone for, oh boy, over a year now. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you for your attention once again. We will, and thanks especially for your flexibility. I know that it was kind of a last minute notice last week that we needed to change the date and time, but Fridays all of a sudden for personal reasons got real bad for me. And so I needed to move it to Thursday, which is a better time, I think, anyways, because, who wants to sit on a training webinar on Friday afternoon, right? And Thursday is just a little bit more entertaining, I suppose. So next week, I don't know that we actually need to do another session in the UI next week. I think we kind of covered most of it. If there's some specific stuff that we run into as part of our, the kind of these future training modules, then certainly we can switch over to the UI and walk through how to actually implement some of that stuff. But I think as far as a pure in UI training, I try to keep this as simple as I can and as straightforward as I can. So I think we pretty much covered everything. If you have things that you're getting in trouble with or having troubles with, certainly let us know and we'll do our best. And maybe there's some rough edges yet that we can smooth out. But other than that, thanks again for your time and attention. And I look forward to talking to all of you on next Thursday.